And then there were 4 as we continue to move along here at the ASEL Invitational Qualifiers. And, well, top 4 we go. We were looking for a winner between that BFCH Gold and MELZ Voyager matchup when we went to the break last. Interesting note, BFCH Gold was technically our 2 seed when we got out of our group stages, and they fall in the quarterfinals, meaning that MELZ Voyagers is the last of our 4 top 4 to punch their ticket not only into the semifinals, but of course guarantee their spot in next week's Scholastic Invitational as well. Of course, off stream, as we mentioned before the break, all of those teams that dropped in the quarterfinals will be in the LCQ. We'll let you know once we have an update on that. Let's go and head up into our semifinal matchup here for Samurai Gold versus MELZ Voyager, and let's get down and do what it do.
Yeah, looking into this matchup here, Voyagers coming off a banger 5-game series into this one here. Looking quite good after we last saw them. Looks like they're just winning games, and like I had said, they rely on that that snowballing in the momentum that they can gain. So let's see if they can get that here.
Like, both of these teams have seen quite a bit of success on the day, mostly seeing sweeps. So it's going to be about which one of these 2 teams is going to be able to come out here and really be able to take that control from the word goal. Obviously, we were talking just a second ago how MELZ Voyagers just got out here off the back of a Game 5 win. So they have gone the distance in this series. It's also pulled off an upset. So I feel like for them, if they can come out here in game number 1 and really disrupt the flow of things here from the Samurai Gold squad, well, things could get spicy quick.
Absolutely, and I think the stamina starts to become a big thing here when you get these best of 5s, as you know, they just came off of best of 5, as we had mentioned, so they have played a lot more Rocket League than the other team has today, and that could take effect in how they play, running out of gas.
Not just the longer series from here on out, but do keep in mind we did kick off our first series of the day about 4.5 hours ago, and while I'm sure some of these kids probably talk about being grinders and stuff on the interwebs of Rocket League, I'm sure their parents don't always let them play 4.5, 5, 6 hours continuous Rocket League. That becomes quite the toll. So it's really about who can lock things in and really secure things away with just 2 series to go here.
Yeah, and already we're seeing some incredible... Oh, what happened there? Mirga managed to get a bounce off the ceiling.
Nice pinch here with Cheetah from distance. Whether it's intended or not, sometimes better to be lucky than good, but it did definitely look like they were intending to find the clear. So whether it's just about putting it in the right direction or not, it's the first goal that does go on the board, and it's for Samurai Gold.
Yeah, incredible gameplay from both of these teams, honestly. And right as I try and start talking about it, Mirga goes and scores another here.
And this is huge, right? Because if you're MELZ Voyagers, you just got out of a 5-game banger of a series. You come here through 2 minutes against Samurai Gold, another top seed, and you're like, hey, we're playing with them, we're doing all right. And then back-to-back possessions in a blink of an eye, all of a sudden you're down by 2. The good news is there's still 3 minutes to play, which is a whole heck of a lot of time when it comes to Rocket League.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a lot of time to work it back here and gain back what they have lost already. And honestly, taking this time for them to almost relax a little bit and reset after that 5-game series, I think is completely understandable given the series that they had just come off of.
1000% here, but they had a third. Now all of a sudden the story becomes a little bit different because we are at that midway point, and well, ask and you shall receive, I suppose. Mirga given all sorts of space, and y'all know the rules. Hand down, man down, as Samurai Gold go up by 3.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to start seeing MELZ Voyagers here start coming in and contesting these touches a little bit early, as we've had Mirga showcase that if he is uncontested on these, he will make it in.
What a save there by Bronze, but proud to be able to at least keep it still at the 3-goal game for now. Swing and a miss, but Mirga has a chance to keep it alive. Down here for the Samurai Gold side, popped up, and well, it's going to be Cheetah who looks to fire and deliver a shot, but Bronze but proud is able to find the save. But still, here for this MELZ Voyagers squad, it's the same story as the first 3 minutes. It's the clear that's such a struggle to find.
Yeah, I think we spent a lot of time here in this half of the map, and it's going to show here as Mirga scores yet another goal, or goal. 4 on the board, 4 shots, 4 goals for Mirga and the side of Samurai Gold, already showing their dominance in this first match.
Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of snacks Mirga's got in the backpack, but most certainly seems to be all right with putting their team back there and says, let me do me. We're 3 minutes and 15 seconds gone by, and it's now a 5-goal lead as Atomic punches one in for themselves.
Yeah, and it looks like we got the Voyagers here are just starting to slip a little bit here in this game. And like we had mentioned, the previous series could have worn them down and made it a lot harder for them to play this series. But I think that they still have a good opportunity, given this is game 1. Remember what I said earlier, don't be a game 1 Andy.
I'd be interested to see what the results were of that series game by game. Was it a situation where MELZ Voyagers had to come back from a game or 2 deficit, or were they the ones who had to kind of fight against the reverse sweep? We know it went 5. I would love to know, because I feel like that adds weight to the category here. Because if they did have to, sort of pull off a reverse sweep sort of deal against what was the number 2 seed after group play, well, the 5-0 isn't going to feel good here. They'll still have that confidence in the fact that they just pulled off an upset after dropping game number 1, and maybe can have confidence moving towards game number 2 that they can do the same thing here.
Absolutely, and I think as much as we talk about their stamina and being worn down, that momentum that they can carry from the previous series, if they ended that series as a reverse sweep, then that's a lot of momentum for them to carry into this series. And getting the 5-0 here for Samurai Gold is definitely going to be a big help in killing that momentum, if that is the case.
I think, too, the other thing to think about, especially for these players who didn't quite get the same break as LCI Samurai Gold, because remember, they finished in a sweep. They had to wait I think Samurai Gold was actually the first of our 4 semifinal squad to finish their series. They had to wait for the rest of the games to finish, right? Whereas MELZ Voyagers just got done, and be able to win off a 5-game banger to pull off an upset like that definitely gets the vibes high. It gets really kind of like a peak into the system. So sometimes you do come down off of that a little bit, which it's hard to regain going into the next series. Sometimes that game 1 woes of the following series is really a real thing. So I think, as we talked about in that last series, the fact that we are into these longer series, the best of 5, the focus truly being towards game number 2. I don't think you have to press the panic button just quite yet if you're MELZ Voyagers, but you do have to make sure that you're coming into game number 2 on your P's and Q's.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, for MELZ Voyagers, like coming off of a 5-game series like that, and like you said, with the amount of time that they have to rest in between games being significantly less than Samurai Gold, I'm not super surprised to see them underperform here in the first game, just due to the fact that there's so much riding on the shoulders, and the adrenaline and everything from the previous series is still carrying over in a way. And so I'd be excited to see how they can come back in the second game, given now they've had a chance to sort of let out all of the adrenaline and all of the wariness of the last series.
Well, the 5-0 scoreline definitely feels like a quite stark difference between the 2 teams. I mean, ball possession was 55-45, which isn't a huge discrepancy. Even the fact that Samurai Gold was able to keep MELZ Voyagers on their side of the field for only 60%. And the reason I say only 60% is, again, looking at the fact that it was a 5-0 game, let you know that this was a closer series, and the scoreline might lead you to believe. So I do feel like if you're a MELZ Voyager, you just take that game, you throw it away, and start. This is game number 1. Let's come out with a dub here.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of those goals that did go in just came out to some very well-placed shots from the side of Samurai Gold. And so if they're able to put it past that, the Voyagers have a very good chance at being able to come back here if they can just get a couple of shots in and find a couple of those windows over top of the Samurai Gold.
Well, let's go ahead and get down to it. We'll reset the score. Game number 1 no longer matters for the most part. Obviously, that's still it's still going to be reflected in the series score. But I think here for MELZ Voyagers, just take it to the pitch and let's start things off fresh here. Go out here and take this game by game, possession by possession, even, as it even does look like that they were going to be calling to the bench for a substitution here, I do believe, actually stepping into this next game as well.
Oh, yes, I do see that Slender Bender stepping in here in place of
I was trying to remember who else was in that. That was Circana Boy, right? Circana Boy, yeah.
Yes, Circana Boy, yes. Yeah, Slenderbender stepping in place for Circana Boy. We'll see if that change there will be able to give them what they need in order to perform.
It is definitely interesting, right? Because we were talking about in the break, it didn't feel like they were far off from making the adjustments, despite what the 5-0 scoreline might have led them to believe. But you will, obviously, as we've talked about in the past with these subs, be bringing in a different dynamic with this third. So maybe it was just based off of what they had seen from the Samurai Gold squad, or maybe it's just a mere rotation of what they've got based off of how long the series goes. But when we talk about 1 minute and 15 seconds into game number 2, well, MELZ Voyagers defense, they're looking pretty solid. They've been able to hold off against 3 shots, and they've still kept the score tied up at 0.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest difference we're seeing here in this second game already. There's no goals that have gone on net, which is already a stark difference from the last game. And talking about the substitution here made, we don't know what the previous series had looked like. Slenderbender could have had a significant influence on the results of that last series, and maybe he had just needed some time to sit out in order to come back into play here.
Big agreed. However, that's going to be an opportunity for Samurai Gold. It does ring off of the post, and I do kind of want to recall back to that first game, because it was a 0-0 scoreline for a while. I think it was almost 2 minutes in, but then once Samurai Gold struck gold, they were able to continue mining and find 6 goals over the course of the game. So once it started, they did not let up. We'll see if it's a similar sort of deal here, because it's almost a half of play to find the first. The question now becomes, just how high can it go?
Yeah, let's see if Samurai Gold can slash their way through the competition and make their way to the grand finals here, but that is still 1 whole game away here.
This one not out of reach yet. Not if the Voyagers squad can pull things back in. You mentioned it's only a 1-goal game for now. The tough part, though, when you kind of look at as far as how the rest of the game has gone. We had talked at the end of game number 1, despite the fact that it was 5-0. The stats kind of showed that it was close. Oddly enough, now the fact that it's a 1-goal game, the stats almost showing me the opposite. It's 5 shots for Samurai Gold. Voyagers still haven't found their first. It's kind of funny how numbers work sometimes, Pepper.
Exactly, and it does look like there are a couple of messy commits coming through for the Voyagers here that might be preventing them from making it offensive against the Samurai Gold here.
Tav able to find a second here, and when you watch this thing on back, it starts with a beautiful centering pass from Cheetah. Slenderbender comes screaming across the box. It ends up being just a little bit too fast. It goes right past their fender, and Slenderbender and company are now going to be down by 2 and looking to see what they can make happen off the kickoff.
Yeah, and the presence of mind there from Atov to go low when he had figured that they would go for the high block on him. Pretty smart play from him.
Brunswick Brown. Try and get this thing out of their half. Alleviate a little bit of this pressure, because right now still sitting on a goose egg. Not just on the scoreboard. Still looking for their first shot, which has to be a little frustrating when your back's caught up against your own goal line. And you just can't build any sort of pressure down on the other side. And every time you do happen to break the midfield line, it feels like the blue squad just quickly regains the possession and takes it back the other way.
Yeah, it feels like the touches here from Samurai Gold are just ever so slightly better in terms of the direction they're placing the ball and the force that they're applying to it.
60 seconds away essentially here at 5, I guess, if we want to be exact, but we're closing on in on Samurai Gold, officially putting themselves on to series points. As far as for MELZ Voyagers, it feels like this first goal has to come across before you enter into that final 30 seconds. You don't want to have to rely on a miracle kickoff.
Absolutely. A little bit of a scary juggle over top, no one able to make it. I'm gonna go in for Cheetah. 3rd goal of the game here with 40 seconds remaining.
As I was talking about needing to find 1 to be able to leave yourself 1 more. Now you need to find 2 just to leave yourself more. It's a 3-goal difference with 41 seconds. We're closing in on that 10-second rule that I was talking about earlier. MELZ Voyagers starting to run out of time.
Absolutely, broadening the view here to the series as a whole. I believe they're 8-0 currently in the series in terms of score. And so finding that first goal is definitely going to be a large opener for the MELZ Voyagers in being able to mount a comeback in this series.
Something to think about too moving into game number 2. If Samurai Gold comes out relatively quickly and puts themselves into a multi-goal lead, at that doubt of, oh boy, here we go again, start to creep into the back of the mind of this Voyagers squad as well. We did mention top 4 do solidify themselves a ticket into next weekend's festivities of the Scholastic National Invitational, but surely MELZ Voyagers would like to be able to push higher than top 4.
Of course, I mean, coming off of that, 5 series win there, making it into the top 4, like, they definitely, I think, expect themselves a little bit more than what they've given so far in this series. And I'm hoping that they can bring that into this third game and be able to eke out a win against Samurai Gold and push them to 4 games, even 5 games, and turn it around. A little reverse sweep action again for the MELZ Voyagers.
They will definitely have their hands full for sure, because not only are they going to be going for the reverse sweep, and not only have they been shut out for the last 2 games, well, in the last 5 minutes of Rocket League, they weren't even able to put a shot on a target. And that does start to get frustrating for sure for anyone who has been in that situation. Again, especially understanding the situation here. It's the end of your run in the upper bracket, if you happen to fall here as the Voyagers.
Absolutely. I will be able to see here if they end up making the voyage home or the voyage to nationals.
We'll see. Of course, if they drop this one, I do believe there will still be that third place game going on off stream, because we are going to want to make sure that we have everyone set up for as far as prizes, as well as for those trophies and stuff that they give away. But not only that, but make sure that they've got their seating again for that Scholastic National Invitational next weekend. But you know what? Let's go ahead and run it back one more time. Let's put zeros over on either side of the scoreboard. 5 minutes of the clock, and let's get down and do what it do.
Absolutely. Pretty even kickoff coming in here, but looks like Samurai Gold will win the possession.
Like right now, if you're MELZ Voyagers, you got to try and find a way out of your half. And what's been tough for them is that the Samurai Gold squad doing a good job of working both corners, planting themselves deep and getting the big pad, which just leaves less at their disposal for the Voyagers to break out of their half.
Absolutely. You know what I just noticed? I think it might be the matching car buff they got going on here. Or as I say that, Cheetah puts a goal into the Voyagers net here in the first minute of the game.
Shot on target. We talked about the importance of things are on early. For MELZ Voyagers, they've allowed 1. More important from here on out is that they only allow it to be the 1, because you would, unfortunately, when you fall back behind some more, it feels like for the Samurai Gold squad, they are a type of team that if you give them any sort of room, they will capitalize.
Absolutely. I think that's what they've been fantastic at all tournament. It's just being able to capitalize on those windows and the opportunities that these teams give them by being passive or not pushing them to their limit.
Well, here's Mirga looking to add a second. And that one drops right on home. And quick, fast, and in a hurry. It is a multi-goal lead. It's that extra bit of a security blanket that we always talk about. Samurai Gold has to be feeling good.
Absolutely. Samurai Gold, like Mirga specifically, showing off some of their mechanical prowess here with a little flick at the end of the goal there. And even in the previous match, showing off what he's capable of with the variety of shots that he's been putting up.
330, well, 340. Still time for MELZ Voyagers here, but if I'm them, as much as we've talked about this squad having, pretty solid formation of a 3, I feel like from what the eye test has been showing me, I'm just having someone hunting that person right there, Mirga, who has been putting on a heck of a display here in the semifinals as they add yet another goal to their tally. They're at 100% goal participation here in game number 3. Mirga really seems to be the one that leads the charge.
Absolutely. I think marking Mirga here and making sure he doesn't get the opportunity to do what he pleases will allow the Voyagers in order to have a little bit more space to work with. And honestly, looking for them to show up a little bit more. I mean, Bronze But Proud, I had praised in one of the previous series for his fantastic play in the pocket and being able to play in those close quarters, but we haven't seen any of that this game. There's been a lot of attacking from afar for the Samurai Gold.
You know, I was just hyping up Mirga. I was like, hey, shake him down. You'll be fine. And then she's just like, nah, but no, I can do it too. A highlight play, rising on up, the double tap. That's on your head, boy. As Samurai Gold go up 4-0.
Yeah, those long range aerial shots there, is having a hard time defending there and being able to make something out of them. This is such an awkward position for the Voyagers in order to combat it.
Hold on. Oh, I thought Bronze But Proud was going to be able to find one there. It rings off of the post, and all of a sudden, Samurai Gold going the opposite way with it. Mirga, second touch, pops it up. Here's Cheetah, leaves it alive. Left back for Mirga. Both him and Atav have both committed to that, though, which means there is an opening on the back end if you're able to seize the control here as MELZ Voyagers. But unfortunately, too much pressure towards the net for them as the squad in blue continues to press forward.
Absolutely, and these touches from Samurai Gold are just ever so slightly throwing off the Voyagers here. I think they're not expecting these extra touches to come in from the side of Samurai Gold.
Now they're going to be able to add a fifth here. Really flexing on them at this point. LCI Samurai Gold continue to cruise. They're looking strong. They're looking great. 2-10 away from officially punching their ticket into the grand final. But for me, it feels like that's probably just about already a thing for them. I think for them, they just enjoy these last 2 minutes and kind of make sure that they're prepped up and ready to go for that grand final.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're just looking forward towards the future here. Looks like the matching car buff might be a thing here, as they all are wearing the exact same thing. And I think they have been for a majority of today.
Looking great here. Now it's just about being able to keep that heat and retain it, right? Because they do know, as long as everything plays out the way that we can anticipate, and not to be the one to assume things, but I think we can all expect that the Marauders, the two-time defending champions, would like to be able to defend their title. But now with this officially going up to 7-0, the math, I don't know if there's a chance of pulling it back, even if they were able to, even if like Samurai Gold were to start to have a fumble on their side. I just don't know if a goal at 20 seconds a clip, even with Samurai falling back a little bit, would be enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you did say earlier with about 10 seconds a goal, if they could manage 10 seconds a goal right now, they would put them at even with Samurai Gold, the Voyagers. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be a possibility for them.
Tough spot to be in here, and I mean, this Samurai Gold squad, they had swept their way through the group play, and now one game away from saying that they have swept their way through the playoff bracket into the grand final as well. However, you mentioned it will be quite the dance that they do have to take in that grand final. We will wait for that other series to officially come across, but I have a feeling we're on the verge of seeing ourselves LCI Samurai Gold versus EMT Marauders.
I believe so too, and I think Samurai Gold's gonna have to slice their way up through the grand final match if they want to make it to not have to deal with the last chance qualifiers, that is, and getting that extra time in order to just, you know, rest. I think for a team like this is going to be more important to them than being able to play those qualifiers, as they've clearly demonstrated that they're capable of quite high highs, but whether or not they're able to maintain that form, we'll have to see into nationals.
Final 24 seconds here, really just more of a technicality. I don't think we've got an official just quite yet on our other semifinal matchup, as well as I'm not sure if we've gotten officials all across from our LCQs for our 5th and 6th teams, which are our last 2 teams that'll be joining our semifinalists next week. And we will most certainly be keeping you up to date as best as we can as those games do come across. But as far as for our semifinal matchup that's on your screen, it will be LCI Samurai Gold going to the grand finals with a sweep. looking pretty darn good as well, if I can say so myself. So, I mean, I don't know if there's really too much to break down off of that one. It just felt like for Samurai Gold, they came out and they played their game. As far as for MELZ Voyagers, you know, we could sit and debate if maybe, you know, just used up all of their luck or whatnot against that BFCH Gold squad. But hey, you know what? You accomplished what you were hoping to accomplish on the day, and that was securing yourself a spot in next week's action. Plus, their run isn't done. They do still have that chance to be able to complete and finish on the podium with a win in that third place game.
Absolutely. I think they've made it as far as they have, and that's something to be proud of. And there's still more opportunities ahead of them that they can take away from. And every game that you play is a learning opportunity. Every single second, every single goal, every single pass, everything matters in building onto a better player and better team in the future. And so I think if they take a look at their gameplay, they'll definitely be able to find some ways in which they can maybe contest better in the future against teams like Samurai Gold, who have been so dominant throughout this tournament.
Well, we've secured one of our 2 grand finalists. We'll have to wait and see on the other side of our break who it is that they will be playing against. Again, I mentioned probably a good chance of EMT Mirage, but we've seen upsets so far, so I don't want to call that a for sure just quite yet. But Pepper, it's kind of crazy to think that we've been through 5 hours of gameplay here at this point, and we only have one more series to crown a champion. So let's get ready to lock on in, guys. We'll take ourselves a quick break, grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a quick drink. And on the other side, it'll be time for our ASEL Fall Invitational Qualifiers Grand Championship after this.